right.
How's our audio level?
It's on.
Looks okay.
Great.
Don't worry. Like I said, it lives in my head forever now to stare at that bar when we go live.
So, last session, we started as you all decided to take your leave of the blockade on the road north of Brindle, north of Witchcross. You decided to head into the Witchwood in hopes of finding elves that you heard might reside there. You traveled until nightfall, at which point you carved out a small encampment, set up camp, and rested while keeping watch. During the night, before dawn, one of you, I think it was Runar, heard a strange, distant screech of what sounded like a bird. He woke you, and together you traveled north, out of the forest to the edge of the swamp, where you found the corpse of an enormous owl. Investigating, you found a couple of things. You found evidence of its strange death, as well as a heap of treasure hidden in a nearby tree. Before you could collect everything, however, a lurking swamp creature attacked you. You fended it off after after being perhaps a bit surprised by its mobility. But before you were able to put all the pieces together, distant flying creatures appeared, and you hid yourselves in the edge of the forest as 5 great owls and their riders appeared. You watched them investigate the scene, take in the owl and the defeated swamp creature. You witnessed them pull both the gold band from the owl and also some object from the contents of the swamp creature's stomach. And these were handed to who you might suppose is the leader or the person in charge of this group. As we ended the session last time, you made yourselves known to these elves, and they responded by raising weapons in your direction, and that is where we ended.
So you had poked out.
Yeah, I was peace, we don't mean harm. And that's what we called it. Yeah.
And I would stay hidden with bow at the ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know I went. I think it was at least me, Tor, and Redrick. I don't know. Kevin, what you would have done there.
I stood up when we did.
Okay.
Yeah, here, Redrick.
I figured he could hide indefinitely, but they're gonna find me eventually. So like I don't want them to find me before I announce myself to them. They're elves, so they're gonna find me fast.
That's something that we're just
Yeah.
We probably would eventually. We should definitely footprints everywhere.
So, before we continue,
I will repeat what he says in English.
that makes sense. Before we continue, nominations for Hero Point.
Give it my nomination to Runar, who is at 2 hit points and stood his ground to still wail on this swamp fiend.
I didn't touch that. The only thing I did in the swamp feed is Vigil it and Trip. That's not doing damage.
The bolo was cool.
The bolo was cool. That was just worthless to this thing.
If Caleb was here, my other vote would be for Caleb.
That'd be my other vote, too.
For just stopping his attack and going for the stuff.
Yeah, this clearly isn't working. I know there's stuff over there.
But yeah, no, I concur.
Runar it is.
First person to get down to the campaign too.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot that you
is
went.
that really
I forgot you
yourself?
went down and you self-resurrected.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all the more reason that
I didn't say go
Runar.
down. We went down, looked over his conscious.
that is exactly how it would have.
No intervention whatsoever.
It's faking. It's like,
True.
Playing dead. Okay. So, yeah, you, all of you, right, are show yourselves.
Sans Rex, I think.
Except me,
Okay.
for now.
Okay. The elves above continue to circle. The elves on the ground have their weapons raised in your direction. Are any of you armed?
Yeah, I have weapons, but on my hands.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing drawn.
Not using my imagination.
Okay.
I'm hidden
I think
with a bow drawn,
I think I
just in case.
I think I might still have my shield. Simply because it was too cumbersome to put away
I
before
need
we
a
go
bow
out.
to cast.
Okay.
But like my hands are like this, and my shield is like in a position where it's not helping me at all.
Okay.
Like, we didn't hurt the owl. We didn't hurt who walked away from it, but we did kill that thing, which we think is what killed the owl.
You see You see this leader elf, the one I shared a picture of last time, lower his bow slightly and release the tension on the bowstring.
Just like relax a little bit. My hands are still up though.
I also would, in the shadows, release the arrow at it. No.
The arrow is just-
Haha!
Drop his guard, idiot!
I release my arrow at Rex's chest.
No.
I release tension. Not release the arrow. Yeah. That was a nice triangle of arrows.
He, now that you can kind of see him a little closer up, you can see he's kind of, he's armed to the teeth, so to speak. He's got a quiver full of arrows. He has perhaps like 4 to 6 daggers all over his body, sort of within easy reaching range. And he seems to really carry himself with a lot of grace, a lot of training. He takes a long time to look you up and down, all of you. We'll say, I suppose, that all of you are, apart from Rex, are visible.
Yep. I'm not the rest of my friends, but I thought you were the group of you were with the Hobgoblin army, so we immediately hid as you approached.
One of the 4 other elves, the other elf that's on the ground with the leader, spits on the ground as you say this. Something not elf-like at all to do. So if you know anything about elves, that's a little bit alarming. But the leader speaks and says, "Do you still suspect us to be with the hobgoblins?"
Not anymore. It wasn't so much that I thought we were with hobgoblins. I thought you were hobgoblins when you were much further away.
What are you doing here?
We are here to
Stop whatever nasty plot the hobgoblins are cooking up in Rest.
How did you find yourself here? And he gestures not to the dead creature at his feet, but back to the owl.
We heard its cry when we were resting for the night. When we came to investigate. When we got here, the owl was slain. We noticed some footprints leading into the woods, and then we were attacked.
There's a road that leads to Rest.
The one to the east.
Why do I find you here in the forest? You're clearly not suited.
The road to the east is easy to be spied by the hobgoblins for one thing. We encountered their roadblock and avoided that. But more than that, we were hoping for some guidance from you and your kin in getting to the capital. You clearly know these lands much better than we do, and assuming you're on the same side of this, we have mutual interest here, I think.
You sought us out.
More or less. I mean, I more expected you, I think we all more expected you to find us than us to find you.
And I suppose so we have.
It's not.
And your interest in the swamp is for the capital?
For who we believe exists in the capital. It seems that their army has several generals, and we hope to take one of them out by the name of Sarbeth.
He looks doubtful.
We've taken one out already.
I will take out the map and assuming I have, I don't remember who had it last, but
You have the bag of...
I have the bag of holding, so I figure I have a decent chance of holding it. And I'll take
Before you can pull it out, you have a bunch of bows trained on you pretty much immediately. What are you doing? Put that down.
Oh, you wouldn't mind? I was going
Put
to show
it
you the map.
down.
You know,
Fair enough.
the map, wait. You got it in your hand already?
No, I was reaching for it, but he said
Oh,
before.
okay.
One of the
He just shrugs. It's like so unperturbed by it.
One of the elves comes up, picks up the bag,
Mm-hmm.
reaches inside, finds nothing.
It's a bag holder, right? Yeah.
Gives it to the other elf, the one that's been talking, and he raises an eyebrow at you. Magic?
Of a sort. Map's inside the bag. If you want, I can do it with a sword at my throat.
He just tosses it to you.
I'll take the. I'll again try to take the map out.
They watch you, but
Yeah.
they don't do anything.
Just sort of cheerfully take the map out and just show him. I'll walk up to the pretty close to the leader and just.
They don't let you approach.
Okay.
His other elf will stop you, take the map, and bring it back. What am I looking at?
Take a look at the north center of the map. You'll see that the goblins have marked near the location of the capital Rest. The name Sarbeth. We know this name to be one of the 4 generals of the goblin army that's marching east along the Dawn Way.
Apparently from the north.
He looks at, so sort of looks to the map, back to you, back to the map. He pauses, and then he looks at the creature on the ground, the dead creature. Explain how this happened.
How we killed it?
Yes.
Well, it absolutely wants to get it. Jumped out of the. It was submerged in the water.
When you found it, it had climbed up on the side of the hill, covered in mud.
Oh, okay, so it's covered in mud. It wasn't actually water. We didn't see it, but it waited for us to kind of jump up. Jumped up at us, covered us in acid, and then we fought back and forth with it for a while. But put a pretty good fight. But in the end, it went to like the three of them, or no, not him, the two of them.
Do you or you have a bow?
No.
He
I don't.
he looks.
Does
He raises an eyebrow and says, "Where's your fourth?"
does Torin bow?
No.
Okay. So our fifth.
Or, yeah, fifth.
Okay. I like look around and like.
When he says this, the other elf whistles immediately, and you can see the owls come down a few feet and fly lower to the ground.
All right. So
Not sure quite have gone back to the camp. We did leave it unguarded. He's quite good at finding his way through the underbrush, so hard to say where he is right now. But we did leave our camp unattended, so he could be back there.
The elf says to his companion something in a language I don't think any of you understand. Do any of you speak?
no.
Do any of you speak?
It's not big Dwarvish, but I don't think it's got.
These two have a lot of
I
languages.
do have a lot of languages, but
Yeah, there's no way any of you speak this. It's specific to this area.
dang.
It sounds really. It sounds like a pigeon Elvish, with some other language you can't quite recognize. It's just on the edge of understanding if you speak Elvish, but it's just strange enough not to be available. The elf draws blades and goes into the forest. What is your stealth?
So, as long as I keep them more than... I'm trying to get the distance first. I believe it's 15 feet. As long as I keep them away, like 15 feet away from me, I do not need to make a stealth check.
Even if they're searching for you.
No, if they're searching, then it changes. So, given I don't remember what I rolled last time, let's do a new one.
Sounds good.
I can never see what you roll with that.
I know.
It's like invisible to me.
Yeah, the 26.
Oh, you got him.
That wasn't even great. It's second itself.
So what I guess I will do, so just one of them comes in,
Mhm.
I will try to sneak to a point where I can step out, but not near one of the, like near-ish to one of my companions, but not near to one of the elves that they would think that I was making like a threatening move.
Okay.
So if I could step out, and after the dude has already gone past, and just lean on like my glaive and just say, yeah, there's no need for blades.
Oh, there you are, Rex. Oh, who are you?
Credit where credit is due. The elf does not flinch, although he looks surprised
Yeah.
to see you.
I'll take it out.
He stares at you long enough that it feels uncomfortable. Maybe, maybe not to you, but like to an average person, it would feel uncomfortable. Like really sizing you up, and then he just sort of nods. If you'd like, you don't have to. I need at least one diplomacy check from someone in the group. You may all roll one if you want, but I will obviously count critical failures if you roll and fail. So
Those critical successes, right?
to each their own. Whatever you'd like to do.
I just said one thing, so
Yeah, that's fine.
I shouldn't be rolling
Me
into
and if you want to. So we're both talking.
Tor.
Do I get this 2 for convincing them of truth?
Yes.
Can I guidance him?
I was specifically saying things that.
Can you do it without? Then yes.
No verbal.
31.
Okay.
Let's go.
It's a natural 19.
Wow, that's almost as good as
So
the
did
game.
they have a guidance or no?
Yeah, he did.
32.
He makes a sound that it sounds almost like like an owl hoot, and immediately the elf that went into the forest appears again, sort of rushes back out, and all of the owls land right around your area. He looks at all of you and says, "My name is Killier. Which of you bears the least burden?"
Not me.
points to the corpse of the creature.
The whole corpse.
I'll look at it. Put like my glaive on whatever I use to keep it, when I'm not holding it.
Yeah,
on my
leather
back.
band or something.
Yeah. I look at the creature. How big is it? You said it was large.
It's large. It's lithe, but it's got a lot of reach.
Yeah. And I'll look to him, and before I actually look to pick it up, I'll look to him. How far are we going with it?
He points to the back of one of the owls.
Yeah. All right.
I'll help you with it too.
Yeah. I wave.
Oh,
I
okay.
wave it up. I was just debating whether I wanted to fashion some sort of like rope, like.
One of the elves that was riding on that owl comes down to help you as well.
I look at Runar and just shrug because I waved him up. I'm not gonna wave this guy up.
Yeah.
Kiliar looks at all of you and says, "Okay, get on the owls. We leave immediately."
Will we have the chance to what's the word doing here? Gather ourselves when we arrive? Will we have time to rest? We've expended ourselves quite a bit in this fight.
Well, I get the sense that your campsite was probably not as comfortable as the lodgings that we keep. So,
Oh, excellent. Okay. And will it take us less than 8 hours to arrive?
oh yes, the owls are much quicker than that.
Otherwise, fellow who appears and dies probably after
I was just gonna say. So we left. The horses will be left behind at our camp.
Yeah, that's the theory.
Yeah, I mean, didn't we leave the horses behind already?
No. Where we left them? We had them at least up until barricade.
Yep.
He didn't have them because he's faster than a horse now.
Yep.
Classic.
An open road, he is faster.
Yep.
Do you ask this to Kiliar
That's fine.
about your horses?
I will.
Probably discuss it amongst ourselves.
Oh, okay.
That's what here's it.
Do you have items at your camp that you must have with you?
Yeah. I got the armor's in the bag. The armor that you work on.
Oh, right.
Saddlebags.
Oh, it's in your bag?
Yeah. That's a lot. I've been carrying 3 sets of armor worth of bulk around on me.
That's a quick stop for these birds, I imagine. We got here
Probably, yeah.
like less than 10 minutes, right?
No, it took us like 40 minutes, right,
Oh.
from campsite to getting up here. I think.
We have some horses and we have some of our armor that we are currently enchanting left of the camp.
Hmm.
I was able to run up here in like 45 minutes, right? It was a little slower for them, and I could tell them exactly. I'd say. I mean, it was.
And the fight was still going.
Yeah, it was roughly less than an hour's worth of me running through the underbrush to get there.
Allow your horses. We can do little for. They won't fare well in the swamp. Perhaps if you left food for them, food and water for several days, or if you left them here at the edge of the swamp, they may fare okay. It's up to you. But we can bring you back to camp if you need to pick something up.
Our intent was to let the horses go, anyways, so that would work.
Goodbye, too cool.
No gold free.
We trade up, we got owls now.
Then we don't compete.
Yeah.
He asks each of you to take an owl, and you are taken back to the camp to pick up whatever you want to pick up.
Okay.
It seems as though the owl that you're on is the largest by a good margin,
That's his problem.
capable of carrying you and the corpse of this thing and the elf.
Yeah.
And the rest of you set out on the sky. The owls are both fast and surprisingly quiet in the air, and you cover quite a lot of ground very quickly. It's also surprisingly dark here just before dawn. You think it would be it would have been tough for you to navigate on the ground in swampy terrain in all of this gloom and mist and sort of fog. Occasionally, your elven sort of co-pilot may silently point out into the distance below you at a faint light in the forest. And after they do this a couple times, you think maybe they're pointing out small encampments of elves within like copses of trees in the swamp. And before too long, you reach what clearly is your destination, right as sort of dawn breaks. You see a low hill of clearly solid ground compared to the surrounding swamp that sort of climbs out of the marsh and is encircled by a thick ring of trees on all the edges. And you can see, as you come down into the mist, spots of light all over the hill. You don't know this until you land, but they look strange. They don't look like flames at all. And when you get close enough, you can see they're actually globes filled with what look like fireflies that sort of constantly light and flit about inside of their cage. As you arrive, you can see elves silently emerging from tents and different buildings to watch you sort of soar overhead. Killier, who leads the group, pulls a horn from one of the owl saddlebags and blows one long note that sounds like the call of a loon. The loon of the bird.
Just a crazy person.
I heard a loon, which is like a goddess from.
Yeah.
Oh,
Warcraft.
yeah.
So I was like, one letter off of the seven.
Yep.
Near the hill's apex, there are 3 huge trees, and you can see structures built into the boughs of the limbs of the trees. One of the buildings looks to glow, like the entire building looks to glow of its own sort of luminance, and strikes you, Redrick, as a temple, perhaps, based on its architecture. Another looks like maybe strikes you as maybe an inn, although that doesn't really make sense for the location. And there's another that is sort of almost looks like a cottage, and it's set above a pool of water, and that is where you land. I have a map for you.
It was like already known Nathan's place. It's like hearing about this elven place.
You have no idea. So this is not where you really were told you were going to find this place. So you do not know what this place is.
Sorry, so the structures, the first one was like a temple, the other one kind of looked like an inn. What was the last one?
A little cottage-looking thing. As you land, Killiar says, "Welcome to Starsong Hill."
Starsong.
Yes, indeed.
What's your going rate on mercenaries at this point? How many elves can we get for, say, a couple thousand gold? 300. Alright, go call her back.
You land on basically a balcony of this cottage. The owls land only long enough to deposit you before flying off to the south. And you find yourself standing there with Killiar. Below you, as dawn breaks and lights the hill, you can see a crystal clear pool below the cottage with a giant crocodile inside. It's sort of just like looks like it's sleeping. It's not moving at all. You see it only because of the light sort of shining off of the scales on its back.
Rex will just whistle. I unfortunately cannot whistle, so maybe not. Yeah, that's closer.
An elf opens the door of the cottage and sort of silently beckons you inside.
Did those tents look? Those tents look like they were like recently set up.
Mm-mm.
They didn't want to establish there.
This whole place looks quite well established.
That's the point of everything.
If you didn't see, I put some pictures in Shadow Slide.
Oh wow.
The woman who you see inside, should you enter, is a very ancient-looking elf. She stands next to... oh, grandson, finally to met you. She stands next to a much younger elf who wears more plain brown and green robes and is clearly distraught.
The younger elf is distraught?
Yeah, or perhaps it's better to say that she has been distraught, but is like poorly trying to hide her distress. The room is small, but it's seating for everyone. Low benches, cushions, wicker, like woven chairs, that type of thing.
Low ceiling.
Low ceilings, yeah.
Jeez, that's not for me.
Why?
Almost 7 feet tall. Had to bend over.
Ah, yes, you're gonna have to crouch a little bit.
Yeah.
It's fine for me.
I
This is for me.
am Celeria. I speak for the Tiri Kitor. The Tiri Kitor. And as she says this, she sort of motions to sort of the settlement around her. This is High Singer Trolara. She makes eye contact with Killiar and says, "We do not often see strangers in our homeland. What brings you nearby the Black Fens?"
A large group of unwanted visitors in the valley.
The lizard folk, Celeria says.
The hobgoblins. Unless they found themselves with lizard folk.
They all look to one another. We know that there are movements to the west of hobgoblins. Some of our scouts have even seen them in the forest. But we have not seen great numbers of hobgoblins in the Black Fens.
That's good. Have you seen the dragon?
Perhaps. Thankfully, no. We have not.
The great army marches along the Dawnway. We come north here because we suspect that one of their generals has a plan in the old city of Rest that will aid this army.
Killier hands the map that he took from you to Celeria, and she studies it for a while and shares it with Trilara after a moment as well. We suspect our problems may be related. Now, we have not seen much of these hobgoblins, but the lizard folk that we have long fought to maintain the sanctity of our settlements have grown bold as of late. And these creatures, the one that the same one whose corpse has been left on my stoop, they have been seen causing mayhem in the swamp. Powerful, too powerful for any single of our scouts to handle. And she kind of looks at the younger elven woman. We've already had our losses.
We've already seen these hobgoblins ally themselves with several other types of creatures and races. Would not surprise me in the least to find that they ally themselves with lizard folk.
Killier explains briefly what he found, he and the other elves found, and that he says sort of without any reservations that you all were the ones to destroy this swamp creature, this swamp monster, without any of the elves' help. He gives you full credit. And as he does so, he sort of... do you have any still visible injuries?
Yes.
Yeah, so he sort of gestures to Runar.
I look remarkably fine.
Actually, believe it or not.
Killier was right to bring you here. You may not have our trust, but you, I think, can be at least trusted to move about our settlement. Potential allies, perhaps. Should we reach an agreement? Well, the least we can do as payment for this is answer some questions. You are strangers to the Black Fens, I assume. What can we help you understand about our marsh?
So one thing that I wanted to ask that would have been important prior to this and was mentioned kind of when we talked to the elves at the camp, or when they met us,
Okay.
was the aspect of we saw footprints that were walking away from where that swamp fiend was. I would have definitely, like, if there was no, like, response when we talked to Killiar on the edge of the Witchwood, I definitely would have asked my rider why we didn't bother, like, investigating. If it is not possible, the rider of the fallen owl could have been the one who walked away from there.
None of the other owl riders say a single word to any of you.
Okay.
The only thing they do was point at settlements as you flew. They almost like vow of silence level do not say a word. Killiar also will answer no questions when he meets you.
Okay. In that case, well, so before that,
I did mention it as well.
I remember you mentioned it, so that's why I'd bring it up again after the dude gave me the silent treatment while I was playing with him. Before we get into that, and I'll look over at Killiar, is there any reason why we didn't investigate the footsteps that were walking away from that owl? Could that not have been your rider?
You see Killiar's face go stone cold when you ask that, and the young elven woman perks up immediately when you say this, and there's like a long awkward silence, and
Because he had cut out the
and after a moment,
arm of the guy.
he sort of clears his throat and walks over to the young woman and goes down on one knee and pulls out from the pouch where you saw him
Get the ring.
get the ring. He pulls out the ring and the circlet that was on the owl and presents them to Trilara, who just begins silently weeping as she takes the items and sort of holds them in her hand.
And Rex will just like back up a little bit.
And I'm like, all these items we want to ask.
I knew this was
Yeah.
going to happen. Just to be clear.
Well, something out of the stomach, I assumed it was not,
Yeah.
would have had for lunch. Well, it was, but dinner, I guess.
Despite his immediate icy response, after this happens, Killiar does look to all of you and says, we do thank you for destroying that creature before it was able to make its leave. There's, had you not been there, we may never have known for sure what happened to our brother.
Were you all searching for him when it did? The creature made a very loud noise as we were killing it. That's what attracted you all to our position in the first place. So that's how you found. That's what you were looking for.
That's right.
Well, happy to help with that.
Why was he off on his own?
It is not uncommon at all for our scouts to travel singularly, especially one of his talents. He was more than capable. No doubt you can imagine yourselves equally capable. What would have happened had you attempted to fight such a thing on your own?
It would have gone well.
They are new to our region. We have only encountered them in the last several weeks, and they are unlike anything we've ever found in the Blackfen in the past.
Are they numerous?
Thankfully, no. We only encounter them occasionally traveling south.
Rex has been noticing strange movements of the wildlife for a while now. Before we even knew of the Hobgoblin army. We fought a Hydra in the Western Witchwood near Jones Ferry. That was an unexpected find.
Oh, they are more common here, perhaps. Perhaps that's where it originated.
It was chased out by these lizards. But the Hobgoblins have, at this point, infiltrated fairly deep. We ran into the results of an ambush by them east of Tarleton. And if they had time to set an ambush there, they may already be further inland as well. Jones Ferry at this point is probably occupied by the goblins. And at this point, we're basically trying to do what we can to slow them, stop them, gather our forces, and do everything we can to, prevent being annihilated.
And kill the damn dragon.
And kill dragon. We'll cross that bridge when we see the dragon, I suppose.
Solarian nods, sort of looking at the map while you tell her this, hands you back the map, and says, I believe I understand, but I'll ask again, how can we help you? What is it about the Blackfens that we can help you with?
We're looking for Restalor. We believe that one of their leaders, their generals, is occupied there. We've killed one of them in a fort outside of Jones Ferry, which is where we came possession of that map. But we believe another one is in Restalor, and not only that, but Runar suspects that they're up to something more there. And if they are, we'd like to know and put an end to it while we still can. The longer we wait, the more pressing the forces become, and the less freedom we have to chase down things like this.
Well, that would line up with some of our recent problems. The forces that seem to exert pressure on the lizard folk, it all seems to be centered in Rest. There is some strangeness happening there. There are creatures that our riders have spotted, but have not been able to identify.
Can you describe them at all?
Well, one is a shadow, some sort of shadow creature. It almost looks like a lizard folk, just larger. It crawls around on on parts of the old battlements of the castle that's there in Rest. And some of our owl riders have seen it at dusk or dawn. At night, it's invisible and can't be seen, or hasn't been seen.
That is extremely troubling.
Can it fly?
We don't know. There are some lizard folk relatives that have the ability to do so. It does trouble me that you've seen a dragon. I suppose it could be, although we have not seen it flying.
It's a green dragon, right?
And we, obviously these creatures, they're not entirely reptiles. They stink of the hells, but they have wings, although they cannot use them for flight. I can imagine their cousins doing so.
Certainly agile. Were there other creatures or weird things you saw near the capital, or was it the main terrifying sight?
There are creatures that traverse the swamps in the night. They may just be lizard folk, but we dare not send our scouts too close to Rest. We've always avoided that place. It contains bad memories, that place. But we try to keep an eye out on it at night as best we can to make sure we are not surprised by anything coming from that direction.
You had frequent skirmishes with the lizard folk and these creatures lately.
We always have, but yes, it's become quite common now in the last couple weeks.
Do you find them to be stronger than they typically are? More of a nuisance?
More driven. Lizard folk have always been annoying, but they were not brave creatures, and they were not difficult to drive away. That cannot be said of them recently. Either something bolsters them, or they fear something. Either way, they do not run from us like they have in the past.
Do you know if anyone could help us get to Rest unseen?
Well, we could provide you with boats and guidance of how to get there. As for avoiding the lizard folk, your guess would be as good as ours.
How's your weapon efficiency?
I don't have that special terrain.
Do it.
Is it swamp all the way up to Old Rest?
Oh yes, yes. The marshland extends quite far to the north.
I assume that's Sarvith, or Rest is to the north as well.
Yes.
Do you worry that the lizards or the goblins will eventually come for you in places like this?
Well, honestly, we worry little about the lizard folk. They are an annoyance and dangerous, but unless they were to march en masse, they pose little threat. However, the reason we've shared all of this with you is due to that, and she sort of gestures to the corpse on her balcony. Those, if there are more of them than we realize, could pose a serious threat to all of us. We could not fight an army of them. We simply couldn't.
Yeah, it's a very similar situation with the goblins. Normally they're smaller bands, disorganized, but we've seen them. Rex has seen them the most direct, them in the most direct sense. Their army approaching the woods, and they have numerous flying horses. If we remember correctly.
Yeah, we took down that Chimera.
This gets a reaction from Killier. He raises an eyebrow at that.
And they have the dragon. Those are early on. And there's at least one more flying creature. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah,
again, they were several miles out. It was hard to tell exactly what was circling up there.
those are already out by some with us.
Second flying creature was just ended. It was just a lot closer than that.
He's just trolling me.
Oh yeah, but we found that not only are they all have their numerous tribes united together, but they've become they're organized more than just that. They have weapons specifically crafted for their forces. They have
Infernal allies.
internal allies, and the weapons are enchanted consistently, as if they have people working to provide their lieutenants with natural means. It's troubling all around.
It's probably of little consolation, but at the very least, we have not seen these forces you describe here
That's
in the marsh.
That's fortunate not only for you, but that for Brindle and the cities around it. If they're not here, that probably means that what forces they do have are more to the east, and if they had more numbers, they'd be here as well. But I get the impression that they're currently focusing on taking the human-centered civilizations first, and afterwards, I imagine they come for my people, and eventually yours as well.
Well, if what you say is true, I would have no trouble believing that there are goblinoids here hiding in rest, causing some sort of issue. But they cannot be of great enough number to march an army. But that may also just mean that they are the more powerful of this army come here to roost. But
Do the names, the Red Hand, Cinder Hill, or Azarkul mean anything to you?
that last name sounds vaguely infernal. But beyond that, no. Are these part of this army?
The one known as Azarkul is supposedly above them all,
Likely where their infernal allies come from.
and their gathering point was or is Cinder Hill. Where that is, I don't know.
Maybe we find someone we can ask very pointedly.
Oh, was that the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
So ultimately, our quest is, as you've already agreed to help us get to Restalor, do what we need to do there. Past that, I know personally I would request that you clearly have a means of fast travel. Are you in communication with anyone outside of your people, like Brindle, for example?
No, we do try to remain insular as much as we can. Why do you ask?
Simply that in order to win this, I think intelligence is going to be knowing where the troop is, where they're not, and who's at risk when and where is going to be vital. So keeping in contact with Brindle during this time might be advantageous for both parties.
I see what you mean. Well, I will not deny you outright such a request. However, unless we can find a means for us to put down this lizard folk rebellion, I don't believe we can give up any of our forces.
Understandable. I was hoping for perhaps a single rider, but the single rider themselves might be vulnerable. But maybe we can take care of this lizard problem as part of what we're doing. We don't really know what's causing them. Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we can block that out.
Is there any among you who might be willing to serve as a guide and join us while we deal with both the lizard folk and whatever other plans might be to the north?
I'm afraid you will not find many of the Tiri Kitor that are so quick to trust. Prove yourselves, and perhaps that might change. We are, however, conscious of your gifts, and she sort of looks to you specifically.
With a smile.
and we will not turn away a guest that means well. Therefore, you shall find yourself availed of all of the services of our village. I suggest you might visit the temple first. Our priest would be happy to heal all of you who need it. But we will find you lodging, and Killier will spread the word, treat as valued guests. If you wish, you are not obligated. We will hold ceremonies tomorrow for Lanakar. And she looks to the young elf next to her, who's still sobbing quietly in the corner. You are welcome to the ceremony, the funeral ceremony.
Would it be alright if my mountain goat raised here?
She raises an eyebrow and says, "Well, I don't know if you've met my own dear friend, but," and she sort of points below.
Was an alligator.
But we welcome all kinds of animals here.
I hope. I just didn't want people to be alarmed when they, probably 6 foot tall mouth goat around.
I pat Redrick on the shoulder and say, "Look, if they're willing to let you in, they're certainly going to let Valor in."
I just elbow you in like the lower cage so I can't actually get reaching normal with the cage.
And I turn to Kiliar. Also, you mentioned a question about why we found ourselves in the northern region of the Witchwood rather than on the trail. Conversation didn't really lead to discussing the circumstances, but the hobgoblins have a encampment and a roadblock set up on the Old Rest Trail. Some small stronghold they have there of 20 or so warriors and an ogre, 2 ogres. So that's also part of our alternate route.
It worries me that the goblins would be so keen as to set up roadblocks in advance of their invasion.
It's part of our concern as well.
It actually looked more like it was situated to prevent egress from the north rather than from the south.
I don't want anyone knowing what's going on up here.
And then perhaps they don't want any reinforcements coming from the north either. Goodness.
We want to eliminate that roadblock as well, but we didn't want to let them know that anyone would be operating north of the roadblock, so we intend to take care of it later.
Well, we have not seen much in the way of activity, so perhaps if you are able to destroy it, there will be little in the way of their own reinforcements either.
If, out of character, I assume that if goblins wanted to come from the north to set up that roadblock, they could easily avoid the swamp by just staying further east.
Yes.
Okay. That was what I was just saying.
Yeah, there's like huge plains to the east of the road, or to the east of the marsh, and it's wide open.
Is there anything else we can do here to build more trust?
I think we've given you an opportunity to build more trust. In the meantime, you are welcome to speak to our denizens. We don't see many outsiders. I suspect there are more than a few that would be happy to speak with you. And we may not look it, but we are a skilled tribe. If you require barter, we may have what you seek.
No.
The form.
I had it already.
Yeah.
It'd be ridiculous.
Just keep asking for it, actually. It's fine.
No, I find it everywhere. It's just like
Well,
common.
yeah, no, as soon as something goes in the shop like that, it's available in every subsequent
Yeah.
shop.
Yes, of course. Well, so Leary asked you if there's anything else she can do for you before...
I'm sure we'll try. We'll let you know, but I think right now we're probably pretty exhausted.
Well, you know where to find me. I would not suggest taking a swim in the pool below, but beyond that, you'll find little of danger here.
Is there a place to bathe? That's not the pool though.
Certainly, yes, we can find you. We can find you suitable places to rest and recuperate.
Is it like still like smelling something else vomited on?
Yes.
You are led. Well, first you are led to the temple.
Oh, right before.
Yes.
I do want to say too. Is it Trolara?
The young woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll say. Well, it's clear that you cared a great deal about your fallen comrade. I'm sorry for your loss.
She very quietly thanks you in Elvish. I don't know if you speak Elvish, but she very quietly thanks you in Elvish and gives you like a subtle nod.
That's all I say. I just get power to give her a reading.
Look, you can read the cards and you can read the runes sometimes.
To the temple, I think.
The temple is a shrine to Kedifis. He's a common Elvish deity, often referred to as the Hunter. The temple is well appointed. Not only is the priest there, who introduces himself as Alien Snowmantle, able to heal your wounds, but there's room here for prayer, and there's it seems as though he's hoarded himself a decent stash of goods. items and scrolls, and he also offers to create items for you. He appears quite pleased to be speaking with new faces.
Does he have an arcade wave out there?
He does not, no. But he will, if you ask him to, he will cast pretty much any divine spell up to level 3.
Actually, I don't think I need it because Tor just has every 10 minutes healing, so he's probably been healing me every 10 minutes. I'm probably good.
Could be.
Mid-air while you're flying.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Well, Ilian is more than happy just to have introduced himself to you. Tells you to come back if you need anything at all. And wishes you, best of luck and welcomes you to Starsong Hill.
Do I know if there are what are the differences between like are there differences between Aristil, the god, and their god, the sun god?
Cetaphis?
Yeah.
Cetaphis is like specifically an elven deity.
But like are there like at least similar? Are there like lieutenants? Like I
Um,
don't know how.
Cetaphis is big on. Actually, give me a religion check.
Religion. He's big on religion.
I don't know, like,
Okay, so Cetaphis is he's called the hunter, but his main focus is community and the health of the natural world. Sort of living in tune with the natural world and making sure that every part of your tribe is taken care of.
that seems very similar to Aristil.
The other big tenet of Cetaphis is that demons and undead should be destroyed at all costs.
That's not as common in Aristil. I mean, he certainly, I'm sure he doesn't like them, but he's not specifically called out. Well, okay.
I would ask if Ilian. I would ask him. You mentioned you have some supplies on hand, more of the arcane persuasion. It sounds like. However, I was wondering if potentially you had something that would help to potentially even the playing field a bit when fighting against fiends like we dealt with earlier.
Oh,
Devils.
interesting.
Particularly
Devils.
Did you have something specific in mind, or
question.
yes?
So we know that, for example, Davian's blade is cold steel, right?
Mhm.
That's good against demons.
And Fae.
And Fae. Do we know that silver
The holy element.
would be more effective against devils? Well, he probably.
I arbitrarily decided at some point that my character knew that, which is why I bought a hunk of silver to use with my needle dart spell.
I would say the two of them would know,
Mhm.
and in all likelihood, this probably would come up in conversation. So I do not think it's unreasonable for you to know that.
Well, do either you have a way or know of a way to either imbue a weapon or modify a weapon or do something in order to provide or apply silver to one's implements to be able to more effectively combat these fiends?
I think you seek someone outside of my skill set. After you rest, take yourself to just north here of my temple. There is a great hall. It's the largest building here on Starsong Hill. We call it the Hall of the Ancestors. There, on the second floor, are many more crafty types that I think would be happy to help you with your task. Perhaps they have something already, but there are much of our town's trading happens there, as well as many of our arts and crafts.
I appreciate your help.
My pleasure. I hope you find what you're looking for.
We have a beautiful temple here. I've never seen a temple like this, but among others, I follow Aristil, and I find that their tenets are pretty similar. And I also have no love of the undead.
Then you fall quite well in line with Cetaphis.
Yeah, I can't say I don't think. Honestly, you can think of a reason I would have. I can't think of a reason that Richter would have visited Alpha Settlement before. They seem like they're pretty.
Yeah, I highly doubt you have encountered one.
Okay, yeah. Don't believe I've ever stood in an Elvish temple. This is different. Not in a bad way.
Not just Cetaphis either, although he is the hand that guides our hunters and keeps us safe. There is Yulral. He points at a mural on the wall. An ally to Cetaphis, a keeper of magics and arcane powers. And he points over to the other wall, Calistria, who you may have heard of.
That was something familiar.
She offers a different perspective, one of jape and trickery.
Actuals. I also get this one a lot.
And there are many among us that find ourselves aligned quite closely to Desna as well.
For me, it's the people closest to me, I guess, Torwin knows this as well, and that he's here. But I am a day in ceremony.
You are their mule, I suppose.
I just hope that I'm worthy to be.
Friends, rest.
I think you might like Hestria. Hestria, I think you like her. I'm not sure.
It's a woman. Yeah, she's a goddess. Killier leads you to clearly what are like the guest tents. They're just south of Celeria's treehouse, basically. And they're right by what looks like the town quartermaster, who provides food for the settlement, as well as like common goods. Killier explains that you're welcome to take as much of like a week's worth of rations with you if you want them. If you do end up leaving
One ration each. Wow, skimpy.
the march anytime soon, or the hill anytime soon, and that you're free to take any of any needed gear you require here. So like any adventuring gear that you need, like rope, climbing kits, anything like that is all available here for you.
I have to change my animal companion to a fly owl.
Hell yeah.
Birth work is the whole effort.
As well as a number of comfortable looking tents for you to stay. There are no beds. Everything is either cots or much more likely like slings, like hung from sort of the
Hammock.
yeah, basically like a hammock. But otherwise well appointed, comfortable. Killier explains that you can travel to the west of the hill, and down at the base of the hill, the water is clean and clear, and you can bathe there should you wish.
Hit that up pretty properly.
You find that you are given a wide berth, not out of fear, but perhaps out of respect. But you don't really get weird looks. You don't really get any poor treatment while you're here.
Pull the water hole. Yeah, I'll clean up and. What do you guys want the timeline to be here? Do you guys, my thought is with the shadow creature thing they're talking about, that it'd be ideal to arrive in Restalor at dawn, minimizing our chances that we run into it at night.
I think we want to be at this funeral as well to show our respects. And I think that's very important.
I think so too. I just want to plan out our departure as well.
Yeah, we'll be here at least through tomorrow by the sound of it.
Give some time to craft on your armor.
What time of night did our encounter happen, and what time is it now that we're here?
We arrived here at dawn, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we're like tired.
We got lucky. Well, I was the
Three-fourths.
penultimate watch.
Yeah.
So I was like 6 hours in, I believe.
Yeah. So you guys got most of the night's rest.
Not those last 2 hours that count.
True.
Yep.
No one comes to guide you. You truly have free reign of the town, so you're welcome to do whatever you wish. The map is there if you have any questions, but the main areas I think I've sort of already described for you.
We begin working from south, west to northeast, checking every single time.
Who's
I'll
here?
start from northwest and do the opposite.
So to get along rest, like, what do we have to do? We have to sleep another 8 hours? Or is it like we have to finish like 3 or 4 more hours? I guess.
Under the circumstances, you probably have to rest again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
I don't need it.
Okay.
Rex, are you familiar with Celestia?
No.
Okay, sorry. Celestia, yeah.
Maybe. That's a pretty good roll.
So religion check,
Yes.
17.
Oh, yeah, you probably
Yeah, you've heard of her for sure. You know that she's really into revenge, and really,
This is different. This is not Nero.
really into lust, and
Okay.
also she's well known for her tricks, like playing tricks on other gods, and on mortals for that matter.
I suppose she has her own type of hunt.
Yeah, probably. He's also part of actually, I don't know, does the last breath exist in this world or no?
The last breath.
It's a pantheon. So that's what. But I mentioned at one point.
Oh, it might. It depends on who else is in the pantheon now.
Armanzi and Milani.
Probably not then.
Oh yeah, that was evil, I think. Yeah, well, they were all over the place, and that one is more evil. Never mind. Oh. I don't know the last part, but the revenge part just seems like so pissed you off.
Yeah, the dragon.
Yeah. I feel like we're on the dragon's shit list too. It'd be truly assured revenge. Someone's gonna come out ahead.
Yeah, he's gonna come out with that one.
And we'll come out with one more.
That's true.
Rex will have another hide for his collection.
Yeah, second time on Dragonhide will go better.
Yeah, you worked all the kinks out.
There's a lot of things I had tried. At least it was on a smaller scale before the real deal.
But if no one had any idea of me, I will probably end up going. That's me. We still need free reign.
Mhm.
I would like to go to visit the owls actually, and just kind of familiarize myself with them. And if anyone is around, I might ask about how they're like how this relationship between the elves and the owls started, and how, do they raise them, do they find them and train them? Like what's questions like that.
You find the south of the hill, maybe the southeast a little bit. There are some very tall trees, not quite as tall as the center of the hill, but larger than the other surrounding trees. And you can see that they've set up like little platforms and walkways, and there are big nests up there in the trees. You don't know how many total owls there might be, but as you like walk around the south part of the hill and look up into the trees, you see at least 4 of these massive nests perched up there, and you do see elves sort of like running back and forth and tending to the owls and stuff. You can certainly ask around to talk to somebody, but there's no easy way to get up there, like unless you can fly or use magic or something.
Can I climb a tree?
Yeah, you can try, absolutely. The trees look very climbable.
How do the elves get up there?
Oh, all the elves are the ones that are flying on the back of the house.
Oh, okay.
Yes, anti-gravity by grabbing the tree and pulling it.
Yeah.
I feel like I could climb up there, but I also don't want to be an idiot. Just like, what is this jackass doing up here? So I'll just observe them for a while. It's almost because I'm that way.
You notice a couple things in observing them. They are kind of constantly coming and leaving. You notice that like scouts tend to go out in all directions almost all the time. Like every 10 or 15 minutes, there's activity. Give me a perception check.
Oh my god, I rolled 3 19s.
Wow.
My random just rolls just on the table. I had like 6 19s tonight, which is
You do some mental math, check some timetables, make some guesstimations, and you can guess there are probably 30 of these giant owls that are actively sort of in use, I suppose, with riders. And you do notice in the distance you hear sounds of what look like hatchlings as well.
Okay, as well. Yeah, okay, Operation East must be tonight.
Must be stolen.
you gotta be right there when it was born, so then it thinks your mom.
You also notice that there are a couple, not many, but a couple elves that look to be much better equipped than the average owl rider.
Okay.
Not quite as well as Kiliar, but better.
Better than what people that were following.
Yes.
The advanced power thing. Captains. I don't spend too much. I spend a couple maybe hours here, but I spend too much time. I do want to work on the armor tonight to be downtime.
Okay. What do the rest of you like to do?
I would like to. There's 2 things that I want to do. The first of which might overlap with something they might want to do.
Okay.
Which is the first would be to go to that
Second floor with the
second floor of the Hall of Ancestors to find them crafty types.
The Hall of the Ancestors is awesome. It's like this big 3-story building that's built around this giant tree. And the wings of the building correlate to the arms of the branches of the tree. And so like on the first floor, you walk in and look around, it's sort of empty. It's like a big meeting chamber. It looks like you can see like benches that are stacked up on the walls that could be pulled out for seating. It could probably seat, I don't know, 200 people maybe. It's big. It could be used for events. It could be used for like religious gatherings. You name it. It has like this wooden parquet floor that stretches out in every direction. And then there are winding staircases that go both inside and outside of the building up to the second and third floors. The second floor, you notice from the outside because it like spills over the first floor, and there are balconies in every direction that just hang out. And there are people milling about all over. You see there are like nooks and crannies as you climb up the stairs to get up there. There are nooks and crannies where people are like selling goods out of like little shops that are like nestled in between 2 limbs of a tree. There are a bunch of people trading and selling wares. There's some crafters. There are some smiths. There are some leather crafters. You find a small theater that's tucked into on top of one of the bigger limbs, and you can see some people practicing like their lines. There are some taverns here. The only taverns you've seen in town are here on the second floor. Most of them are just in open air on the balconies. And yeah, there's a good number of people. Everyone just sort of seems happy to have you. No one stares at you. No one treats you differently. They just sort of mill about as if you're not there.
The actors are all they're practicing their lines all in Elvish, I presume.
Yeah.
I'll listen for a second. Damn it. And then keep looking around. I'll go to one of the, I guess, like tavern establishments.
Yeah.
And ask. First of all, I'll order. Well, I said, well, do you have anything that you specialize in here?
Oh, you could say that. We don't have much in the way of the ale common in the human and dwarven settlements. I apologize.
No,
that you might be used to.
Better.
Well, we do brew some very fine mead and wine, if that interests you.
Consider me interested.
He pours you out of like these stoneware, like corked stoneware bottles, this thick, almost syrupy, like blood red mead that is surprisingly bitter with its sweetness. It has a nice balance. Really remarkably good.
Is the mead peep weed?
What is that?
This is guy YouTube makes mead from peeps.
Oh, like the
And Mountain Dew. And he's some weird stuff.
I definitely saw a video of his Mountain Dew mead. Yeah, it's disturbing.
Yeah, that is exceptional.
What's this one? It's Melody Hill Zero mead. Oh, disgusting.
no one really there.
Shit.
Well, my name's Hadriel. Do you are you here just for pleasure, or is there something you're looking for?
Well, Gabriel, I'm Rex. And, well, for one, I wanted to get a look around here because, wow. You can just look around, even just his establishment, which is, probably pretty open to the, you said it was, most of them are basically open balcony, almost.
This one, the bar is sort of backed up against the balcony, so his back is to the open air, and the bar is quite low, and so he almost sits behind the balcony slinging drinks, or behind the bar slinging drinks, and there are a bunch of low tables all over, so almost so as not to ruin the view.
Yeah.
And so there are a bunch of people basically seated on low stools and cushions all around you, kind of a little bit like that. Obviously, all of the style of furniture and stuff is a little different, but that's exactly what I was imagining as well. Yeah, and all the elves seem to be really enjoying the drink, and there doesn't seem to be anything special happening. Although there are a few people that might be a little bit deeper in their cups than others. No one really looks drunk, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, aside from potentially once in a lifetime experience, I also came here because Ilian mentioned that there's a fair bit of skilled craftsmen in the Hall of Ancestors.
Oh, that there are. Yes, we have. Our most well-regarded is Asuriel. I don't know what you're looking for, but she focuses mostly on traditional Elvish designs, things you can't really find much anywhere else. But there are others here selling all kinds of wares. I don't doubt you'll be able to find something that suits you.
Not that I imagine the profession of barkeep necessitates use of many, and I just lay down my glaive that was wrapped up. I lay down necessitates the use of many glaives on the day-to-day basis, unless there is a very different process to making mead than I am aware of. Do you suppose that Asuriel, something along this would be in her wheelhouse?
Oh, probably not. He kind of runs a finger across the blade. We're more partial to bows, rapiers, that type of thing. But I'm sure you can find somebody who is familiar.
All right. Sounds good. I tap my bow on my back.
Are you looking?
I imagine they probably could do better than this one.
Oh, I don't doubt it. And if all you want is a modification, that is something I'm sure one of our brothers can do.
Yeah, I was hoping to find somebody who potentially has the skills to add some sort of silver properties, at least to my glaive.
I have no doubt. We can provide that for you. No doubt at all. And he kind of points you to a couple where you can find Asuriel.
I would head to Asuriel first.
So Asuriel, as sold, has a lot of classic elven-made items. She shows you a bunch of clothing. So
Boots of Elven.
she shows you boots of Elvenkind. She shows you she has a couple cloaks of Elvenkind.
Boy, would I like either one of those.
She has something that she calls leaf weave, which is a type of wooden armor, basically just magically treated leaves. She shows you something that she calls moonlit chain, which is basically like a silver chain shirt that's got some decent enchantments on it. She also has some other maybe less traditional elven items. She has slippers of spider climbing, and she has a pair of healer's gloves as well.
Fun fact, arboreal boots. Name from Southern Ireland.
Yep. That is correct. How much is her going price for the boots of Elvenkind, aka arboreal boots, as listed?
As listed, indeed. She does not upcharge you at all.
Well, I'll put a pin in that in my heart. What does she have by way of bows?
She has a bunch of bows. So she has a bunch of varieties of bows of all kinds, with up to +1 striking, and then a variety of ghost touch and shifting items as well. And she also has some thrown weapons with returning on them.
What did you say before ghost touch and shifting?
Shifting.
What did you mention before that?
Ghost touch? +1 striking?
+1 striking.
Oh, that's
Bows.
right.
They have to look way prettier than my bow.
They do. They very clearly are focused on form over function, even though they are quite functional.
I would ask her what it would take for me to exchange my bow for one of her prettier bows of also +1 striking.
The enchantment's the same. She grins and says, "What do you plan to do with it?"
Well, the intent in the current environment is to take down some sort of
giant shadow lizard creature that's guarding Old Rest. The longer term intent is to take down a green dragon by the name of Ozarendion. Those are the main intents.
That seems in line with Kevadis. I'll make you the trade. All you have to do is promise you'll use it to kill these demons you speak of.
Oh, you can rest assured that my hunt is going even now.
Yeah, rest assured.
And perhaps you'll buy something from my shop. There must be something you're interested in.
There's quite a bit, actually. What do we got? My persuasion of not the most attractive boots or arboreal boots that I cannot afford.
She does a bunch of armor as well. She has +1 armor. She has sturdy shields. She has spell guard shields. But she will also silver your weapon.
Oh, okay.
She will also do that.
I was going to ask her if she could do that rather than going to one of these other shops.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would pay her to silver my weapon without a doubt.
Yeah, so when you say silver the weapon,
So it's pricey, but she will permanently make it a silver weapon.
oh damn, okay.
What are we talking pricey?
Let's see.
No, for a glaive it's gonna be more like 4,500 per bulk.
What? 4,500 per bulk?
No.
Oh, that's high grade.
Yeah,
silver.
no, she can do that, but no, for low grade silver, she will do it for, I think, just 40 gold.
Any gold per bulk.
Can she do that with
Oh, it's
a dwarf sword we're next to?
Oh, interesting. She could try. She
really?
probably never tried that before. She
Yeah.
probably never messed with the word and make items before.
I can help her too.
I sort of look at the hilt of Shadow Steel, and then do you have anything less permanently silver?
Oh, she does have actually a lot of consumables.
There's silver or something.
There's a silver staff.
Yeah.
So you said it'll be 40 gold?
Yes.
Also, do we remember how much gold Tor pulled out of the chest?
I can tell you what was in there.
It was several hundred coins.
Everything has to be never.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we never got. We know that he had a rapier. We know that he had a ring, and several hundred coins.
Yes, and if you want to identify this stuff, I think you can, if you'd like to, since you're here in town. That's up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm sure
There's
that aligns with
It was part of my plans for the day.
perfect. Yeah. So just to make sure we're on the same page, there's a rapier, a ring, an ocarina,
Oh yeah.
that hand. You remember the hand? And 106 gold pieces, 347 silver pieces, and 583 copper pieces.
What number?
106, 347, 583.
Get that into inventory crate.
It was a what rapier? Or did we not get there yet?
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. Okay. So she sort of chats with you about what you hunted. She wants to know all about the hunt. She wants to know what you've fought, what you've killed. She wants to know like what his bow is in for, what his weapon's in for. And she sort of talks to you as she works. She doesn't ask you to stay. Like she says it's going to take a while,
Yeah.
but she just keeps asking you questions
Yeah.
as she's working.
So I definitely tell her of the dragon, the hydra, the chimera. And I tell her about parlaying with the
Manticore.
Manticore and the forest giant. Then also the aspects of the Ettins that we hunted. Well, ended up slaying as well. I just go through the whole, and then I'd finish off with that lizard fiend as well.
She mentions, as you sort of list off all of these in detail, she asks questions about each one, what it was like to fight it, all that stuff. She mentions that your acquisitions begin to rival even Kiliar's. And she seems to be like a little more open, a little more comfortable the more you talk.
Mm-hmm. And I would also ask her in the in the interest of silvering the blade as well on my glaive, I'd ask her if it'd be possible without compromising the integrity to give it a more elegant blade, like a more elven with an elven touch to it.
She says, for a little more gold, I can do that. I've never made blades before, but I'm happy to try.
Looking at her work, I presume that I can assume there would be some pretty impressive craftsmanship that would occur here.
The thing that strikes me about all of her work is that it's clearly really sturdy. Really, it's meant for combat.
Yeah.
Clearly, you notice that Kiliar's bow is absolutely her make.
Yeah.
But it's also like it looks very almost fragile in its sort of subtlety. Yeah, she says if you come back tomorrow, she'll work on it tonight, see what she can do for you.
What would having her do a little bit of extra modification end up costing?
She'll ask another 10 gold.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And then this is the group question: does silvering fall under group funds or personal funds?
I was going to pull from the group funds to buy silver staves for myself, so I think that's
Okay.
And you
But
can
now-
find them.
cool.
The modification I'll do on the funds that I have, but the silvering I'll take from group fund then.
I was hoping the same thing with the silver weapon.
Yeah, cool.
Not necessarily from her,
Silvering your
but
weapon.
you.
Yeah.
But some of the other things you can find in this area in terms of magical items, apart from the salve or the salve, you can find water breathing potions. you can find invisibility potions, and you can find a bunch of different kinds of arrows, like those spell strike arrows, climbing vine arrows, climbing bolts or climbing arrows.
Climbing arrows.
I think it's called climbing bolts in Nethys, but you can find arrows in it as well.
How much money did we just get from the gold boys? Large increments of vendor.
106 gold, 347 silver, 583 copper.
Okay. I'm gonna buy 3 silver salves. So it'll be 18 total.
And I'll say, because I think he would have found this. I don't know if the rest of you would be looking for stuff like this. But I think Tor would find there's a gentleman selling some rather strange concoctions, and they're called mutagens, and specifically the one that he is trying to hawk it's interesting. It's basically like a potion, and when you drink it, you get +2 to your acrobatics, to your stealth, to your thievery, to your reflex saves, and to your dex attack rolls. You also gain +10 speed, and you get it for 10 minutes. However, when you drink it, you take damage equal to twice your level immediately, and you cannot gain hit points under any circumstances until it ends. Until the end of 10 minutes.
That's wild.
Depending on the price, each full set.
It's 12 gold for a potion.
Snap it off. Group funds. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
We'll put that in his inventory for when he gets back.
Assuming does she agree to silver the axe, and if so, how much is it going to cost? Same price or different?
Well, what is the bulk of the axe? So it'll cost 44 gold.
Oh. Okay.
And she says it might take her a little longer. She's never done this before.
I mean, I know mechanically just gives her a +1 if I roll well, but like having more familiarity with dwarven weapons, I'm going back in the sense of
You have other things to spend time enchanting, though.
I have that too.
Okay.
So what do the two of you want to do?
This is why I'm thrilled that imaginary weapon can also get silver face.
So my other attempted shopping errand that I'd like to do in this place.
Okay.
There's another spell that seems pretty out of the wheelhouse of the elves
Okay.
to potentially know. And it is called Wooden Doublemint. It is on the arcane, occult, and nature lists, so that's why they bother the cleric with blue people.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's cool.
Are you looking for someone to teach it to you?
Ideally, yes. I would also silver a scroll and give that a shot if it came to it. But yeah, ideally, I would like to find someone who could teach me the spell.
Let's see here.
You can't kiss that hurt. Double appears out of nowhere and takes a blow in your place.
It's Naruto.
Yeah, it's literally the wood clone.
Substitution clone.
Yeah, you trigger by getting crit on a damage dealing effect or strike, and then
My new race in other campaign can do that as an ancestral feat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really cool.
I don't know if it's not the exact system, it's very similar. Where it's just like, oh yeah, wooden doll thing.
Yeah.
Ah. Oh no, I think I
Davian used substitute.
can like summon a tree next to me, and then like it can absorb damage from me or something like that. Which
I
I
got
think
the
is
name for her bow.
That's sweet.
didn't take it.
Oh.
Setting on plants all the time.
Yeah, she probably would actually.
Because that'll be the only difference, right? There's no mechanical difference between the bows, but I would assume it will.
What do you think? A specific name of that bow?
Yep.
Root Singer.
There it is.
You can probably get some silver salve too, just for your bow.
Yeah, it's like put about 10 arrows, and those arrows are good and silvered for an hour.
Ah,
Yeah, it's you don't need as much because you already have your glaive, but like it'd be good to have one for
I shall get one then.
even two.
What's up?
Even two. They only cost what?
6 gold.
That's pretty cheap.
Very well.
Ah. So you ask around, and everyone points you to the same person in terms of the only person that they know who might know the spell and be able to fashion a scroll, and that is Trelara.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
take it right to the top. Okay. I maybe won't bother her with this today.
She might have something else on her mind.
Yeah, a little bit. Did we? All right, I'm already forgetting. Did we ask her who the deceased was in relation to her?
No, but if you would ask anyone in the town, they would tell you that it's her brother.
Oh shit.
They might have his fiance.
I bet she is not teaching him this spell.
Oh yeah, tell her that during the
Yeah,
funeral.
tell her that. And like right afterwards, we were like, "Hey, can you teach me the spell? You know the one you didn't teach your brother."
That's rough.
I'm dying to make the joke in that style.
Right, next day, all right, we're ready to leave. Has anyone seen Davian? I haven't seen him all day. I just
Are you guys doing any identification?
Yes, that was the other thing. And then the very last thing was just to take a long walk around the perimeter of this, like kind of sort of see where it's clearly entirely surrounded by a river,
Yep.
which is interesting.
Yep.
And I would take a look around that and possibly bring Tor if you wanted to go with.
Yeah.
Scope it out.
The only other thing I'd do is I would want to try and find Kiliar. after, I mean, I have to leave my glaive with her, right? But I have the new bow, and I'd probably go looking for Kiliar.
You can find him pretty quickly, especially if you ask around, because he clearly commands some sort of presence in town. His home is much larger than the others. He has like a larger tent, but you do not find him there. And asking around, it seems as though he spends almost all of his time on the back of an owl in either defense of the hill or in scouting.
I would try to catch him in between returning.
You would find him if you waited, if you were patient, you could find him returning right before dusk of this day.
That does impact my potential thought of joining him on a scouting trip. Nonetheless, I tried to talk to him when he got back if he made it possible.
He would not avoid you,
Okay.
but he also does not stop to talk to you. He sort of motions for you to follow, and he goes to speak with Celeria. But he asks what he can help you with, and if you're finding Starsong comfortable.
It's quite incredible, to be honest. And Suriel's skills are incredible, to say the least.
She keeps all of us well armed, that's to be sure.
Well, even the timing is going to be very helpful at the moment. But I guess two things that I had in mind was, first off, if you saw any changes or anything of note today while you were out.
Certainly plenty of lizard folk activity, but we did not spot any of these swamp devils.
Let's see. Well, I was going to offer, I can't sit around too much. Doesn't work really well for me. I usually am out and about. So I was going to see if it would be any help to join on one of your scouting runs between.
He pauses a moment in his sort of troop up toward the tree houses and says, how's your eyesight?
I give him a grin. I would say roughly 4 times better than a normal human. And also...
he raises an eyebrow, clearly not expecting that answer.
There's like a bearish grin that I have when I say that too. And also I can see in the dark.
Well, I was about to leave after I speak to Celeria on my evening scouting run, if you'd like to join me.
Absolutely. I'll be glaiveless due to having Suriel make some modifications and add some silvering for future devil encounters.
Well, if we have to land, we'll have done something very wrong.
Point made. I tap the bow and I'll say, I want to intrude upon your conversation. I'll wait here.
Meet me at the roost at the south end of the hill. I'll find you there.
All right, and I'll just head that way.
In the meantime, what else did you miss over here?
I went for my walk around the place, and then at some point, whenever I guess probably when we start retiring to our tent for the evening, I'll take some time and identify some of our new toys.
Okay. The biggest thing that you notice is that this seems to be like a central hub where waterways split off into the marsh in different directions, kind of snaking out from this central hill. It would have been hard to know that's what you were seeing until you were here in the center of it. But you can imagine by boat you actually have pretty good access to the rest of the Black Fens, provided you know where you're going.
Okay.
You do see a lot of boats pulled up on the shore all around the hill. You find some elves fishing in boats as well, although usually they are in groups. You don't see a lot of people out by themselves. And then you do notice that there always appears to be at least one owl rider above, like circling the hill at any given time.
Tor will ask one of the fishing folk, what kind of fish do you catch from the river?
Well, he would just share with him what look like, they look like, oh gosh, what are they called? Catfish. He like holds up like really big catfish.
I'll save my snarky part because I don't know the Tor would make him snarky. I mean, bottom feeder fish. Interesting.
Runa, are you doing anything during this time?
Yeah. So I want to see if I can get a cake weight lighter.
Okay, yeah.
Just let you store a cantrip and use it later, which is useless for like anyone except for me because I have super cantrips. I use focus points.
I can only equip 2. So like 3 pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. Focus points. So he's got 2. I've got 3.
No, well, might be not cantrips. Most people have like most cast like 4 cantrips in cast.
Oh, right.
I clip for 2. That's my dedication.
No luck finding the Wayfinder, unfortunately.
Lost.
Does the armor person have a +1 leather armor?
Yes, they do.
Okay, I'll buy that then.
I'm 1 day. 4 hours in a transfer that would right? After that.
I believe so.
Yep.
+1 armor will cost you 160 gold pieces.
It's not money.
Yep.
I can't afford
Yeah.
better armor yet.
I think this is the only thing.
Can't blow my money on spells.
Yeah. on small scrolls, I think that's the only thing Runar has bought yet.
Well, a bunch of like silver staff stuff. That's not brain for me. It's I got a lot of tricks up these sleeves.
That's true, actually.
Another very interesting, I guess, wands. Is there like a Longstrider wand, or it's kind of looking forward to like buff wands. I think everybody's got Longstrider here except for me. At least I know Tor's like a tattoo, right? It's like a tattoo that gives him Longstrider.
Yeah. He might just. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a tattoo or if he can just do that. He's speed point.
If there's any other interesting magical gear, that's not Arcade Wayfinder.
The real magical gear is all out of cereals, all the Elven stuff. Like that is the
Okay.
creme de la creme. Apart from that, let's see. Tailwind is arcane and primal. Yeah, you're not going to be able to find a Tailwind wand,
Okay.
unfortunately. The only person who seems like they can create wands is Ilian, and he's kind of limited to the divine spell list. All right, so in terms of identifying items, what would you like to start with?
We'll go down the list. We'll start with the ring,
Start with the ring.
and I will read aura beforehand to give myself a +2 circumstance on my identify check.
Okay.
It only takes me 1 minute to identify things now, because I'd be smart like that.
Nice.
14.
Yeah, so I guess I'll roll this with a +16. We'll see how it goes. 19.
Not enough to figure out what the ring is.
I got a lot of time today, so I can take the ring.
Okay, yeah.
To identify it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
If you are also trying it, I, using my read aura ability, I will advise you about the aura.
Oh, you can give
So
him a bonus?
you or anyone you advise about the aura get a +2 circumstance bonus.
Hell yeah.
So you get a +2.
Does it reach 20?
So if you fail, does it just take time? How long? When's like the next time you can identify it?
That is a good question. I don't know how that works.
Immediately.
Failure, you can't try again for 1 day.
Yeah, there we
Critical
go.
failure, you misidentify it as something else at the GM's choice.
Love it.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll do it. At your point.
Okay.
Let's go. We got 2. It improved it.
20. I'm gonna guide myself too. 23.
It is a ring of energy resistance acid.
Oh,
Wow, that's pretty
that would
timely.
be nice for that thing we fought.
Yeah,
Yep.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
We're gonna go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like it wasn't the only one.
Yeah, don't worry. We have passive resistance.
Rapier, next.
Okay.
Read aura once more.
Got it.
23.
Ooh, you match it.
Ah!
It is a +1 striking wounding rapier.
Wow.
So it does an 1d6 persistent bleed on every hit.
Oh,
Wow.
That's really good.
It's not bad. It's also quite a valuable rune.
You don't say.
Yeah, so it's +1 striking wounding. Wouldn't it have to be +2 to have striking and wounding?
No, because wounding is not a prime property. Striking is a prime property. So
Man, am I just fully missing an aspect of?
there is a subtlety to how the whether a rune is like, I forget what the wording is. It's like prime or fundamental.
So fundamentals and power potency and striking. Yeah, striking and power potency are both property runes, or fundamental runes.
Oh, but wounding's a weapon property rune.
Yeah, property rune. That's right.
Like silver is weapon property. Is that right?
I don't think silver is a property. I think silver is just a material type.
Oh,
Yep,
nice.
it is. Wounding.
Yeah.
But it's like a $300 or $400 or $300 or $400.
340 gold.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's pretty good. It's not bad.
Persistent damage, does it stack?
Oh, good question.
So I guess logistically, right? Like, if, or, are we more incentivized to put it on the person who's most likely to attack 3 times in a turn with a weapon? With the least penalty?
Oh, interesting question. I
Or-
see.
Yeah, that's fair. Sell it and buy
My
bonus.
guess is that it does not stack, but so yeah, it does not stack.
Okay. It just, I guess, or no, because it's, the bleed is persistent, the 1d6 is just what you roll when you take that bleed damage.
Correct.
It doesn't, okay.
Correct.
Doesn't mean you put down 3d6 and do it 3 times. Okay, that's cool. Next up was the Ocarina of Time. 22?
Yeah, you tied it again.
Oh, man.
He's not over
No, I haven't rolled up a 7 on these.
It is a wind ocarina.
You have to blow it to play. That's why it's a memory.
It's a winning instrument, idiot. Man.
So I think basically it just lets you change winds into gusts and like make things difficult terrain, make it harder to shoot arrows. Let's see, you can get rid of gases and
It's good.
make sure that Space Marine has breathable air.
It's,
But
Like, look at this and look at Tor. Like, I think this might be redundant. I toss it to him. That's what.
Pathfinder Society is in the restricted list.
what?
It's an item that is restricted in the Pathfinder Society play.
I wonder if it's abusable somehow.
Oh, you can't get shot by anything with range.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Ammunition for physical range attacks, such as bows, bolts, slings, any other objects or barrels, can't pass through the area.
Well, yeah. To be fair, like usually nasty things are gonna be throwing like boulders at you or like giga javelins. Like I can't. That's really good, but like anything big is going to be able to circumvent that. So it's good, but not like so OP that it's not everything.
Fair enough. And then it also remains a virtuoso musical instrument.
Oh, nice. Not that we have any bards, but
Performance chair, if you got it.
does anyone have performance?
Tor.
Maybe.
Tor.
Maybe
If
Tor
anyone
does.
does, it's Tor.
Got
It certainly isn't me.
He doesn't have
Cool. And last but not least was the last one?
We already did the Grim Trophy.
Yeah, you did already identify that one.
I believe that is it.
It is a Grim Trophy is the technical word for it. If you want to look it up.
I got links in the doc.
I saw that. Look at you.
Look at you.
acid resistance during the Grim Trophy of the stabby bleedy.
Yeah, both the rapier and the ring are fairly valuable.
They sure are.
What is the Grim Trophy again? I forget.
You can use it up to, I think you can demoralize 2 people at the same time with 1 action.
Yep.
Yes.
I would also like to spend 10 minutes to use automatic writing, and I want to. The word I want to look up is, I guess Elflore again. I want to know something like funeral, something I could say like a funeral rite next to it would be like one would honor.
Oh.
So I want to first like see if I can. Let's see if I can talk to anybody, like just the first person we see, or a couple people at the bar, and just see like if there's anything specific that they would know about Trolara's brother, like if he had like what interests or what was he a god? Was he most identified with? And if like the first or second person doesn't know, I'll just go to the town what's her name? The town speaker-ish person.
Celeria, yeah.
Star singer.
So it seems like most people knew this deceased elf. It seems like almost everybody immediately has answers for you when you ask. Some of them give you Cetaphis as his sort of deity of choice. But why don't you make a society check to see what kind of answer we get?
That's really good. I think that's a 30.
You get a lot of the same answer again and again. Cetaphis. He was a hunter. He was a scout. He rode an owl. However, you start to piece together some of the real truth. And not that those are lies,
right,
but you start to piece together that there's some subtlety to the stories that make you believe that while the family was probably aligned closely to Cetaphis, there's a certain pairing, a brother and sister here. They were clearly close. And they both kind of took after allies of Cetaphis. Trolara is clearly a very gifted mage. And as such, she took after one of Cetaphis' right hands, Yulrol, who is a god of magic, enchantment, herbalism. And sort of in that same pairing, Trolara's brother took after Finlidara, I think is how it's pronounced, who is the other hand of Cetaphis. And much unlike sort of the general understanding of Cetaphis as hunter and killer of demons and protector, Finlidara is a god of tradition, of hospitality, of the arts. It's a very spiritual presence. And you begin to piece stories together as they talk about Trolara and her brother spending time together, of her weaving magic and him weaving song, making bread, food, for their events. So it seems as though he was more of a kind heart, a tender heart, than he was a true hunter, even though that, of course, was part of his role as well.
Yeah, so I would like to use automatic writing and sort of come up with a either like a fable or like something you hear. Like I'm thinking like something you hear, if you know, a lot of times they'll come up with some sort of scripture. I'm thinking something similar to that for both Findalara and you were also kind of like weaving a story together almost, and like highlighting the bond between the two siblings and sort of honoring him. So like a story basically is what I'm looking for based on Elflore of these two.
Okay. Gosh, what would be the appropriate lore here? Is the bonus regardless?
It's any lore I'm not trained, so as long as it's not fortune telling lore.
In that case, maybe it doesn't matter that we're choosing a
Yeah,
specific
right.
one. Okay, go ahead and roll.
I'm gonna guess myself too. It's not really helpful.
That's 23.
Okay, that's pretty good.
It's just like,
Wait, that was a 9. That was
it just all, like,
20.
snaps out of it. It's
6.
like,
So-
it's worthless.
Okay, so first of all, you recall a little bit about Elven funeral ritual, and you know that there is a portion. The Elven funeral ritual itself is quite subdued, but that there is a portion of the ritual that happens late into the evening of the funeral, where stories are told and songs are sung. So you kind of immediately know when is going to be most appropriate to share such a thing. And you weave together, sort of unknowing of your own
Yeah, I
hand,
what happens.
a sort of a tale, a very subtle tale, a sort of allusion to Trolara and her brother, using birds of the forest as metaphor for their lives and actions, including her brother's sacrifice in the end. Trying to keep it from being too over the top,
Right.
trying to keep it from being too human, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah, and you're pretty happy with the result.
That's how you get bard without being a bard. Just ask the spirits.
Awesome.
Spirit hacks.
Spirit hacks, exactly.
Anything else you all want to do with this day?
Aside from go on the night ride. Nope.
I got a cracking check for the transfer when the 4 hours are done.
Okay.
Go now.
Go ahead. As he does that, Killiar asks you, he brings with him one of his elf companions and asks that you ride alongside with them. But he asked where you'd like to go. Is there anything you'd like to see?
I'd certainly like to. I know that it gets dangerous with that shadow creature guarding the battlements of Old Rest, but I'd certainly like to be able to get a little bit of scouting to the north to see what we'll be heading up towards.
How about this? Your vision is good. If your vision is good as you say it is, I'll show you the proper path by boat so that you can make good time to rest when you and your companions decide to go. As we approach, we'll come down quite low and do one very fast pass over Old Rest, and then flee. It will be dangerous, but if I have your permission, we'll give it a shot.
Absolutely.
All you'll have to do is make as little noise as possible. The owls will take care of that themselves, but provided we can stay completely silent, I think we can get a look without putting ourselves in too much danger.
Should be no problem for me. Also, if I can be so lucky as to get an eye on this creature, that would be helpful, but I won't be greedy.
That I can't promise you. It is elusive at the best of times.
Elusive enough. He's heard a description of it.
All right, how'd you do?
Is it helping?
I would if I were there, but I'm not.
The chance grab out the chance or transfer.
I mean, how long does it take for me to help you?
It takes 4 hours. Just,
Quite a long time.
you can't just like give me plus one at last time.
Right now. I can't do that.
So, okay, well, 50 shot. I mean it exactly.
Nice. There's a lot of that today.
It's 11 9. I win, when not 20 chance to. 55% chance to succeed.
Ah.
Because I needed a 20 and I got 20.
Well, there you go.
It's done then. Pay either half if you haven't already. Transfer cost.
I thought we already did that.
You pay half the amount. Half when you finish. I don't know if you made deducted the full amount right at the beginning.
I thought that's what I did.
I think that's probably what you did. It was only a percentage of that cost, so not a lot.
I definitely did then.
Yeah. 10% of the room's price, so it was like 16.
Yes, I definitely decremented that because I had less gold in my inventory than I remembered.
Okay. Then yeah, it's done.
Nice.
Swell. Now I have an extra. So there's just a breastplate and just a studded leather that need to be sold.
I would like to have used, if they allowed me to, one of their crafting rooms up in the second story of that building.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
Could have like still known area, but it just seemed like a wasted opportunity.
The path that he shows you is meandering, but it's clear that sticking to the deep water will mean that travel goes much more quickly, as you don't have to worry about running your boats onto reeds or bog or whatever. But so the path is quite clear as you can see it from above. It might be a little bit more difficult in action, but you've got, I think, a good head for this type of thing. So you try to remember as best you can. Eventually, you can see ahead of you in the distance that the canals that crisscross through the Black Fens, the marsh, they open up into a lake, like a small lake, and you can tell because it reflects the sky. You can see from above. You can see in its like sort of mirror flat water the sort of Milky Way reflected, and it's spotted with a bunch of dark spots, like dark squares that look like masonry coming out, like old buildings coming out of the water. So it's almost like a reverse starry sky. It looks strange. It's like dark spots on a colorful sort of reflection of the sky. Even at night, it's quite bright with between the moonlight and the stars. And there's a big central piece of stonework coming out of the very center. And as you get a good view of this from above, you immediately start diving. And you guys, the two of you, would dive all the way until you're maybe 10 feet, 15 feet above the ground, and you would approach very quickly. And you find yourself very suddenly over open water. You see what look like, in a flash, you see what looks like all kinds of broken down ancient stone buildings popping up out of the flat water, and basically no movement. You do notice that spread across the outside of the outermost edge of this little water are huts that do not look, they look recently made. Very shabby by your eye, but recently crafted. And this is like along the shore of the lake. At the very center, as you pass over in an absolute flash, you see two things clearly. And I'll have you make a perception check to see if you find anything else. First, it looks like one of the tallest buildings still standing looks like a bell tower. It's not in great shape, but it's near the center of the lake, and it's clearly one of the tallest pieces of building that you can see. The other looks like a crumbling hall of some sort. Not quite as tall, but it's much larger, and it's surrounded by what looks like a maintained, if poorly maintained, pier that looks recently built. It's by far the largest building, clearly visible, and one of the only places that has like cover for things that might be hiding. Go ahead and give me your perception check.
Will do. I will also say, and I don't know if this will be a separate roll from the check. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
I definitely would, as we were getting close to where they described that this shadow creature like stayed on like the battlements typically.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, as we got into range of that, would have used my like bounty hunter hunt prey.
Okay.
And again, whether the gather information bonus on that would contribute here, or if this is a separate perception check, that's fine.
I think this is separate.
Okay, cool.
Got your point.
I do.
Nice. Don't leave it.
27 on this perception check.
27.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do with that 27. Okay, so first of all, this is what you see from afar. I'm just going to show this to you. That's what you see from afar. That's the lake that you see as you approach.
Okay.
And you can kind of see all the bits of many, many, many buildings sticking out. And then as you get close with your perception check, you can see, you get just a glance at this. That's the bell tower.
Okay.
And that's the hall, the two biggest buildings. And you can see how they've constructed piers around them.
Okay.
Just get a flash of that.
Mm-hmm.
You do notice, you don't see this shadow creature that was described. However, you swear that you see in the water near the bell tower, just breaking the surface of the water, what looks like the shape of wings, very similar to the creature that you fought and destroyed last night. It's just a flash, but you're pretty sure. You think if you could see in color that you could be completely certain.
Yeah.
But in black and white, you just can't be 100% sure.
Unless he's covered in blood.
Yeah, unless he's been in blood. That would be impressive given he is submerged in water.
All right.
And I would not, due to our prior agreement of being silent and being fast, I would not mention that to Kiliar or the other rider until we had, cleared the area, basically.
You go straight across, and you don't notice anything strange following you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't notice any shouts go up or anything like that. It's amazing to you how low you can fly with these owls completely silently. And before you know it, you cross to the other side of this little lake, and you're out on the other side. And you kind of gain altitude again and come back. You kind of take a wide arc around away from the lake and come back. Anything else before you guys rest for the evening?
Do we know where Trilara is?
Probably not. You could ask around, but I think most people would tell you that she's in mourning.
Yeah.
They wouldn't really tell you where she is.
Nice.
Oh my god.
So there's you also said there was like a prayer space at the church.
Yes, absolutely there is.
I'll go there for a few minutes.
Okay.
And then leave.
Awesome. Ilian leads you to your prayer. He doesn't try to interrupt or anything, talk to you. He himself looks deep in prayer.
Yeah, I would say before I went to I would talk to sort of stop rhetoric and say, wanted to thank you for taking care of Tor.
I did?
He was at your commune, was he not?
Oh, for that. I didn't do much personally with regards to him specifically, but you're welcome, I suppose. I do it for I help getting off the ground, find people that share the same passions as I did, follow the same people, and nowadays I find that I'm more involved with paperwork, busy work, and political nonsense than I am. But that all helps the commune, but not in the same way it did at the start.
It's had a difficult life, Tor, and I'm sure that based on what I know of you, you're a great help to him, even if you might not realize it.
We try.
Thinks very highly of you.
So, I'm worried about what he's been up to lately. What he said the other day, his new enterprise. Could be a number of things. I was here to ask.
Don't think I need to ask. Unfortunately, I do have thoughts about his new friends. There's one thing that I know about Tor is that, what do you think that you give to people at your commune? The most important gift you can give to them?
Depends on what they need, but for a lot of people it's a new start.
purpose.
Something to spend their time on, something to a future to strive for. A lot of times people find themselves in a place they don't know how they got there. They didn't need to be there, but they're there nonetheless. And they don't know the way out. Those are the people that we try to help.
With faith and purpose, human spirit can overcome almost everything. And I fear that for quite some time, Tor's been lacking both of those. And so I appreciate your efforts and certainly concerned about who his new benefactor could be, whether this purpose is something he...
Who was his old benefactor? Do you know? I obviously that character. Do you know who it was?
It's not my story to tell.
I'm not telling you the story. I'm just asking if you know. I don't really understand how you even know Tor. Just know you're from the same. You guys speak similarly. You can make assumptions, but
From the same village.
from the same village. Even. What made you both leave? To have the village, or
You seem like sort of consider that question.
did you have the village?
No. Well, as I said, perhaps not entirely my story to tell, but
So I guess both of you together happened to your village.
well, I think what happened was more difficult to Tor, perhaps, than it was for me.
I see. Do you have anything to return to up there, or is this just where you plan on staying now? The Vale?
Ha! He like audibly, like very heartily laughs as you say that.
Sorry, the Vale's still offensive to you.
No, I've got plenty to return to up north. Trust me, perhaps not my chosen place to be right now, but it's where I need to be.
What? Was this one of your visions, one of your prophecies that made you decide that you need to be here instead of up there? You need to come south.
You could say that.
Is
Is
there,
one factor at play.
so is your purpose then out of fear of what will happen if you don't follow what you dream, what you see? Is it out of obligation to help people? Is it desire to help people? What drives you? What drove you to come here after knowing what you know?
Maybe a mix of all of those, and maybe you're missing one as well.
What's the one I'm missing?
Maybe we'll reveal that in time. We all have our secrets.
Some folks rub off on you enough until it doesn't matter anymore. I don't know if we all have our secrets. Do I have secrets? I don't think I have any. Most of the people that know me. Like, there isn't much to me that isn't public information at this point. But, yeah. I'll figure you out eventually. Still figure out Rex. I haven't figured out. Have you seen Rex? Where'd Rex go?
He'll be back.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure he's making better use of his time than we are.
I'm working on his armor. You better be.
Yeah, he says like
Like, you better come back. I'm still listening.
Like silver and blade.
Where's Water?
That's what he's like. There's no way he left his glaive. He'll be back.
So you guys rest. You get back very late, but you'll still be able to rest still. As you sleep, you dream. You dream.
I'm so close.
No spell slot tree.
I'm tired of Jason Rip's like, wait.
You dream of darkness, of inky shadow. Shadows that move and crawl almost as if they have a mind of their own, like they're living things. These shadows eventually resolve into the shape of a sword, a perfect outline of the weapon that you hold, the weapon that you wield. You can see it almost looks like you can reach out and touch the shadow. But then you see a spark, a promise of coming conflagration. But now, in its infancy, it is but a small flame. A promise of heat and fire, but now just something to cast light, to cast a shadow. But you can feel the heat in your dream, warm your hand, warm your body, warm your mind, and you can see a duality. On one side, a flame flickering, on the other side, a shadow. And in between, you see the weapon that you've named. You sleep deeply and well this night. And when you wake, you feel as if you've been sent a message, a promise of future heat. But now, a more immediate gift. As you wake, you are blind. For only a moment. But as you look around yourself, everything begins to resolve into perfect shapes. You can see every elf in perhaps a 300-foot radius moving around, even though they're clearly outside of the tent that you lay it in. You can see in the distance the shape of an owl flying high above you. You can see, as you look around, voles digging in the ground, the earth outside of your tent. And just as you sort of begin to take all of this in, your vision snaps back into color. But you begin to understand the nature of this gift. So once per day, so long as you have the sword on your person, you gain basically heat vision. So for 1 minute, you have heat vision, but it's also a precise heat vision, which means you can use it exactly like vision. There's no like detriment to using it like in combat or anything like that. And it's exactly what it sounds like.
It's also pretty convenient for the one person in the group that doesn't have actual dark vision normally too. So
And convenient for the shadow guy that can be.
So it can see through objects, obviously. You can still see very vaguely like physical walls and stuff, like so you can navigate. But the things that have heat, including any living things, for the most part, with obviously like undead might not have any heat signature, so they might be invisible to you. Yeah, you can see with as a precise sense.
that's pretty cool. Boy, you have
I see your muddler myself.
Actually, it can't be tricked as far as I can tell. The only way to trick this vision, just for your knowledge, is either that or putting another hot thing in between the viewer and the thing that you're trying to see.
Okay, I don't see anybody. There's a giant ball of fire right there, but that's nothing. But that's suspicious.
So the way this works is, you can look it up if you like. I think you should be able to find this. It's called incandescent sight, and basically, you can activate it once per day. And although the main difference here is that you're not limited by range the way that this one is. So I think by default the incandescent sight says 30 feet. Yours is going to be, how does this work? The level of the item is your level. You guys are level 6. So your sight will be 20 feet per level of the item, per your level.
Wow. So 120 here, yeah.
Yes, and that'll go up every time you level up.
That's pretty cool. I don't know how to edit this item in my inventory. I have that ability to it.
Looks good.
And as you wake, having slept better than you have slept in many days, I think we'll end there.
We should decide next session who is getting, especially this person will be more being here, Caleb being here, what we're doing with the 4 items that we decided about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might want to distribute that about him being able to speak up.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole scheme is I almost wanted to switch Sonos, but that's on. I know the copyright strike. So
What song?
I can show you the world. When they're out owls over the water.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have given you a.
We had no internet basically the whole time.
Really?
But I recorded, so I don't know.
I could have given you a flying carpet, I guess. They could have all been flying carpets instead of owls.
Yeah, just for today, since it's your first time on Spanish, you have to use this magic carpet for the first time.
Yeah, just so you're not scared of the owl.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I was ready. I wasn't sure whether we were going to do combat today or not. It's hard. It's tough because I don't know.
It's the opposite of last session.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that was cool though.
Some good RP stuff today.
It was fun.
I'm trying to get back to, because I had to like make Shadow Steel a custom thing. But I can't get back to the custom created version. No.
They have some scrolls with reward.
Stefan, there's one more thing I did want to say before Runar left his
Conversation.
Yep. Say. Not so different, you and I. And he's gonna just show you his. There's like a pendant dug in. He's gonna show it to you, and that's all he's gonna say. He's gonna walk up. I sent you that with the pendant.
Oh,
It's like,
okay. I'm gonna have to roll to check, obviously. So it's just right now. Yeah, that's clearly generated with.
yeah.
I should do it with mine.
Generate what?
I sent him what my pendant looks like.
Oh, cool.
There's a much creepier than mine. Yeah, so you show that I'm just like, you walk away like, I'll have questions later.
Oh, interesting.
You said exact too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd have questions as well.
My whole symbol looks like I described it before. I can't in session 1, but it's a phoenix with some of its like stylized wings and some feathers stylized as blades. Which, most of you probably already knows. My name is X. Same in some case.
I doubt anyone else would recognize that.
Like Torwood, but Torwood is.
Uh-oh, I'm still stopping recording.
That's not a good sign.
Let's do this, and then
I wonder if it's because of the internet issue it's having.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's not good.
But still hasn't finished.
Yeah.
I bet you there's some degree of the internet issue.
But like the recording shouldn't be dependent.
I'm saying the application. The application is hitting a bug because of the lack of internet.
I figured out my new favorite like spell value thing. Now that I realize that getting into the Arcane Cascade has to work the way it works.
Seems like it
So
recorded.
originally
How many
it
hours
was
through the
ambiguous, and a lot of
thing?
people